Welcome to Confidence Radio. We are back with little Dave. Another exciting Monday. I have back today. Are you training chest and shoulders?
Yep, chest and shoulders.
So, Dave is doing the program we will release probably in a month or two on Mountain Dog that I wrote. That's demo, as I used to do for John, and things are going really, really well for your prep. So,
Yeah.
I love how those
I
work.
still think it's funny. The last four check-ins I've sent, I'm the same exact fucking weight. Like,
Shouldn't your diet need to change?
right?
No, no, no. You are, yeah. Yeah, we'll leave it at
Yeah.
that. I think again, I'm gonna say this. I know I've said it before. A lot of people would get scared with a physique like yours and panic and like,
Yeah.
oh God, like what's wrong? Like, is he following the plan? Listen, I know there isn't a doubt in my fucking mind that you're following the plan. And if you weren't able to follow the plan, you'd be the first to text me and be like, hey, Chris, like this is happening. Hey, someone died. Hey, my food went bad. Hey, I'm sick. Hey, I tore my hamstring again. Like, fill in the blank. I'm not wishing any that evil on you, but
Yeah.
that's the only outside of catastrophe, your plan is going to get followed. So when you send me a check-in and your weight says the exact same as last week and the week before, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's look at your markers. So for you, it's I'm watching leanness of upper back. I'm watching how your midsection's coming in. I'm looking at hamstring and quad depth in terms of separation. And then I'm watching for fullness, particularly through your arms. Yeah, particularly through your arms and low lat, if I'm being honest there. If I'm thinking about everything as a whole. And then honestly, too, like the depth in which I can see your abs, I'm paying attention to where how separated those look. Whether that be in a frontal vasa or most muscular. So again, it's when you're coaching out there, I really challenge everyone to take all the variables into consideration and know that for most people, the scale is just not going to do this.
Yeah.
Maybe not for
Super.
most, but a decent amount of people that I have, the scale doesn't, it's a lot of times like this, and it's more of a wave.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I think especially if you're a coach out there who doesn't have a ton of experience, especially with enhanced bodybuilders, that's going to be a really clusterfuck in your brain because it doesn't compute.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I pulled carbs, I pulled fat, added cardio, but I increased protein and took supplements up, and your weight went up, but you're leaner. Like, yeah, yes, we did. So, um, you luckily your food is still really high. I mean, you're still
Yeah.
over 400 grams of carbs on a training day. So, um, yeah, I'm sure you didn't feel that adjustment at all yesterday.
But not really. The extra protein was nice.
Yes, yeah, and I think a lot of times, like we're in this new age of low protein that I think now I'm viewed as very old school because I just had a guy who came to me and I took his protein from 6 ounces to seven. If you do grams, that's 170 to 225. Like, and he's like, man, you gave me a lot of protein. I'm like, no, I gave you the right amount of protein.
Yeah.
You were on low protein and something that and I've said this and I'm going to bang it again. Your strength will go up, your look will get harder, and I'm telling you, you'll be more full. And I don't mean like stomach full, I mean your muscle will feel more dense. And I have no data or science to prove that other than doing it with countless people and personally. Um,
Yeah.
do I think your protein always needs to be sky high? The answer is no. There's periods I mean, I wave your protein very intelligently, I feel like, to where, when carbs are super, super high, I pull it down a bit. Or if your digestion gets backed up, I pull it down a good bit. And then when your food begins to come down, I like as fat and carbs come here, I always take protein here. Um, so it's a lot of times it might not even be that drastic of a caloric change, because the protein will offset some of the carbs or fats that I pull out. So
Yep.
again, that's something else that may not make sense to a lot of people. Like, oh, well, I thought you were supposed to push him into a deficit. And I'm like, I don't really view it as a deficit. His body will sense a change when protein goes up and carbs and fat come down. Like that can burn fat and maintain or even build lean muscle tissue when the right things are in play. So, yeah. Um,
Yeah, very true.
so yeah, I mean, I think something else that I wanted to touch on to since you know I both are in prep, like I I had two really good training days on Thursday and Friday. So I trained legs on Thursday, trained a lot of back on Friday and abs and calves. And then I woke up Saturday morning, I was supposed to train arms. And it's one of those things when I woke up, took all my morning supplements, got on the treadmill, I was like, today's an off day.
Mm.
Like I just knew it. And
Yeah.
I think the problem is a lot of folks out there will justify, oh, it's just arms. And you're right. It is just arms. But I know for me, I need every ounce of energy put into those arms. And I'm not about to give 85%, or I guess that I'm always going to give 100, but my ability to give 100 may not be there. Like
Mhm.
I could feel the gas tank was low. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Hey, rest, do your cardio, chill. Like I had to coach baseball that day. I got back and I was like, you know what? If I feel better, I might train. I got back and I was like, no, I'm going to take a nap and rest.
Yeah.
I did not stress the fuck out about it. Like, I know a lot of people maybe not have that luxury, but I said, okay, cool. I'm just going to train arms on Sunday. And guess what? The arm day I had yesterday was fucking incredible. Um, I, you know this because you've worked with me so long. I'm not married to a day of the week. Like
Yeah. And
Monday,
less people should be. I mean, I've always thought about it that way because if Monday's chest day, like, I mean, today happens to be chest day for me,
Mhm.
but if I know Monday's chest day, I'm not going to take a rest day because it's chest day.
Right.
But if you take away like your body doesn't know what fucking day of the week it is.
No,
Your body doesn't know anything like that. You
agreed.
you just gave your body that stipulation.
Yes.
So you get rid of the days of the week kind of training
Yeah. Yep.
and you base it off a little bit, instinctively off of recovery.
Right.
All right, cool. I'm going to train these 7 things over this period of time,
Right.
and I'm going to take rest days as needed. It all of a sudden turns into a really easy equation of like, okay, cool. I wake up today and I'm like, man, I don't feel great to train. I
Yep.
probably need a day off,
Correct.
you know, and you're not missing anything. And
No,
if anything, you're going to make more progress
agreed. Yep.
than trying to go. Like, I can't tell you how many times like people go in, and they, like, oh man, like, well, it's chest day. I've got to train chest. And it's just like, they're anything's wrong. They didn't sleep that night. Their food the day before wasn't good.
Right.
They feel off. Anything like that. It's like the reason you're going to change is from what you do in the gym.
Yes.
And
Yep.
if you go in there and you do something what your body isn't close to what it needs to change, like all you're doing is causing yourself undue stress.
Right.
Like you're not going to grow from that.
No. No. You know, I can tell you this, like, and I know this takes a little bit of experience, but let's say you wake up one morning, Dave, and your like low back feels a little stiff. It's not hurt. It just feels a little stiff. And your knees are a little bit achy. And you're like, man, I really need to train legs today. Do you need to train? What would happen if you just postpone that 1 to 2 days? Like, let's say instead you go get a chiropractic adjustment and a massage. After that, you feel great. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go hit some arms today. And then the next day or the day after, you hit legs. Your legs aren't getting smaller because you didn't train them on Thursday, for example. Like,
Yeah.
if anything, you set yourself up to have a better session. Like I really encourage you all out there. Like, if for example, like let's say you work a crazy shift and you're like, man, I have a 13-hour day. I'm traveling all over the place. My meal timing's going to be off because of meetings. And let's say you're supposed to train back that night and it's your worst body part. Why in the fuck wouldn't you just do it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like after work, if you need to de-stress, go do some cardio, stretching, mobility, abs. If you want to hit arms, for example, fucking have at it. But a body part that I've always felt like you need to put priority on, you should never train it in a suboptimal state if possible.
Yeah.
And I know that some people's life is always suboptimal. So maybe I'm not speaking to that group. Like, but in a perfect world, like some flexibility or fluidity goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know?
And sometimes, I mean, competitive athletes, like the one thing that drives me up a wall is people training after meal 6 or after meal 5. And if that is you because that's your lifestyle,
Right.
run with it, you know.
Yeah.
But if that's because, you're like, oh, I'm going to put off bodybuilding today,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, think about that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why no one's going to be after your goals like you need to be, you know.
Yep.
So, like, there is definitely a time and a place to be like, if possible, this is when I can train, and this is going to be the best time to train.
Yes.
I'm going to go then. I'm
Yes.
not going to go after. I'm not going to help. Maybe I'm putting off a session. Maybe I'm scheduling someone later in the day.
Right.
If you're doing that kind of shit, right? You know, oh, you have your lunch break at work. Let's maybe I can turn a meal into a shake. That way, I can just drink it at work and train during my hour lunch
Yep.
instead of trying to train after 7 p.m. You
Right.
know,
Yes.
like there's a lot of things you can do. It's not like you're just stuck here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So playing that game sometimes needs to be played.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Because just like, I mean, it's just like diet. Like if your diet's an afterthought, so will your body.
Correct.
It follows. So if your bodybuilding training is an afterthought, it's, how well are you going to be able to perform there?
Yes. Yep. You know, I think that's a lot of people just don't think about it in terms of priority that way, or they don't look at to organize their day or life around a way that is conducive for long-term success, right?
Yeah.
And that's difficult because maybe some days all aren't the same. If
Yeah. And then,
fatigue,
life's never going to be perfect. There's going to be times where, okay, maybe you have to train AM fasted because that's the only time. But
yep,
it's not, it is what it is that day.
right. Yes. Yep. Anytime my life or schedule takes what I'll call like a detour or gives me not my normal, the first thing I do is get out a notebook and I'm like, okay, I need to have my cardio done by this time, which means I need to wake up at this time. So you work it backwards. Then I'm gonna have to train at this window if I'm going to train. So that means I need to have this many meals in, and here needs to be the time increments. And then all the meals after need to be packed and in the fridge waiting for me to get as soon as I get home from the gym and shower. So that way I'm ready to go. And it's like the forethought you have to be successful to me there is what makes the difference.
Mhm.
Because I don't know about you, I hate training and clock watching. Like,
Yes.
it drives me insane. Maybe because I was in a gym environment and I was always like cognizant of like, okay, cool. I got my next client at 4 o'clock. It is 3 o'clock. I have an hour to finish this back day. Like, and let's say I'm 2 exercises in. I fucking hate that feeling. I love to go in the gym and it's like, I finish when I finish. Listen, it's always going to be roughly 50 to 70 minutes. But I hate the idea of being like, oh God, I have 3 exercises and I have 15 minutes. I mean, I gotta do 5 minutes in exercise. No, fuck that. I hate it. You talk about causing me stress and anxiety. I don't want to think about that. If I'm thinking about that, I'm forgetting what the chief goal is, which is you have to get better today, homie.
Yeah.
I have to beat these numbers. I have to beat these reps. I have to fight through this pain. I have to go to a place mentally that I've never been before to achieve this look and this pump. I need to go look in the mirror afterwards and make sure that what I did worked today. If I'm thinking about that, I'm locked in. If I'm thinking about, man, if I don't finish these exercises in 13 minutes, I'm going to be late on that conference call. And then I'm going to have to push my post lift meal till after the call. And then that's going to be a 2 hour window after my training session that I didn't eat. Like all of that shit causes me anxiety. I realize that some of you guys out there may not sympathize with that because that's your always life. But if that's me, man, I'm figuring out a way to not let that happen.
Yep.
Just the truth. And if that means I have to train at fucking 10 p.m. at night or 4 a.m. in the morning, that's what I would do. Because even though I don't view like either of those times are optimal for me to train personally with my schedule, if that's what it took for me to train what I would call free, like wide open, with no thought processes or distractions, that's what I would do. Because that's one of my favorite times of the day. And I'm not compromising that for anyone. Um,
Yep.
so little rant to start off there. I did have a really good question, man, that I know you'll appreciate. Somebody, it was, he had dug through and found like an old squat video of mine, and he was like, your form was perfect. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Like, that's what I expect for squat form. And he said, like, what's your mindset going into that with form? Or like, he's like, does mindset matter? He's like, what's more important, the mindset or the form? And I said, what's interesting is like when I started bodybuilding, I said, I didn't know how to bodybuild. But my attitude was simple. It was, I need to get bigger because I want to. And I can fix everything else to get there along the way. But if my brain wasn't locked into, I'm going to grow no matter what, none of that form shit matters. And I think that's where the disconnect a lot of times is. Again, I feel like every episode we bang on these fucking form police science bros, or they're not, I don't even know what you want to call them. The intelligent crowd of training. They're so hyper analytical with optimal and form and execution and scalpel shit that they forget the attitude you must bring into the gym to grow. And I know they don't grasp that because it's not a tangible object to track. I
Yeah.
can't get inside of your brain and tell you where you have to go before a set of hack squats, but you know it, and I know it because we've both been there.
Mm.
That also was an evolution process, but I believe in my heart it's not too far off from where it was when you started.
Oh no.
And I thought I'd get you to maybe talk about that. Like when it comes down to like attitude or mindset versus form, like what is your thought process when you're trying to teach one of your clients that, or anyone who asks you on the internet?
The I think that my favorite way to put that is honestly, form is going to get better the more you do something.
Yes. Yep.
Like, I mean, go take a gander of me pressing the 150s.
Yep.
Realize I've been doing that pretty much at least once a week since 2017.
Right, right.
You know,
Approaching a decade. Yeah.
and they weren't always that pretty.
No, no.
Repetition. It's how you get better at anything. If you want to get better handwriting, you just start fucking writing.
Yes. Agreed.
With intent.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like so many people overthink the like. I've always said it like if you can think about what your tempo is and what that is, it's not a top set.
Yes.
Like
Agreed.
it just needs to happen. Like you can't squeeze your quads into making a hack squat go up.
No. Agreed.
It's never gonna happen.
No.
You just need to actually just use your quads for their intended purpose, which is straightening your fucking leg.
Yeah. Stand up.
It happens on its own. It's wild. You don't have to fucking squeeze it into place. I'm
Right.
not saying there's not a time and a place for like squeezing and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But during a top set of like a hack squat is not a place to do that.
Agreed. Agreed.
And your form is gonna like it, especially in bodybuilding rep ranges. We're not doing anything less than 4.
Right.
So I've always said like if your sets like at some point in time are gonna look like a training video. And then like yes, fatigue's gonna set in. Yes, you're gonna have it. And how far and then when as you keep doing that, you learn like, oh, this hurts. Okay, I'm just gonna keep doing it the same fucking way.
Yeah.
You don't change your tempo because oh my chest hurts from this chest press. It's like it's supposed to. You kind of lean into that shit.
Agreed.
And then you keep repeating that and all of a sudden your form's bang on, and your weight's increasing.
Yes. And then that creates that synergy of massive growth, right? And I think a lot of times this is what that group misses. And I know that they're purposely leaving reps on the table, so maybe this doesn't truly apply to them. But if you're out there listening, I can't teach you a desire to give effort.
Yeah.
You either have it or you don't, right? And that may wave. Listen, I've had lots of people who are locked in for an all-season prep, and then after prep's over, they fucking lose their minds and they can't get the motivation to train or the passion or desire back. You have to find that before you're ever able to take sets to the end again. Like, because there's such a different thought process in I'm going to do what's optimal versus I'm going to do whatever it takes to grow. And I,
Yep.
I will die on that hill because you and I are both prime examples of people who shouldn't be bodybuilding, but have built physiques that garner attention. Why? It's for that sole fucking purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We did not give a shit what our parents gave us in terms of genetics and DNA. And we said, all right, cool. We're going to out eat and out train this genetic component. And
Yep.
if you're out there listening to this, you're probably in the same boat. If you want to look like a freak, you have to do what these new school kids are calling stupid, right? You're gonna have to do sets where your elbows and legs are shaking on a hack squat, and it looks like everything in your body is gonna blow off the bone. Sorry. And it's gonna be with way more than two plates aside. So
Yep.
if you want quads that are thick, developed, and they stretch out extra large pairs of sweatpants from Gasp, like, you know, that's just the damn truth. If that's what you want, that's what you have to attack and train with. And again, I know that we're probably speaking to a lot of you and everyone's out there nodding their heads, but if you can share that and pass it on with your friends, your training partners, other individuals, please God do, because there's a resurgence of this, overtraining, leaving reps in the tank, being perfect, overanalyzing everything. And, I heard a cool quote this weekend. It said, overthinking is simply a sign of imposter syndrome. And I was like, holy fuck, that's the truth. Because you have these small people with no results and all the data, and they're like, oh, we want to tell these big dudes how they're fucking up. I
Yeah.
don't believe for 1 second they wouldn't trade physiques with us like that if they could,
Mhm.
right? Because isn't that why they're training? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
It always makes me laugh. It's not a complicated process. It's just a difficult one.
yes, right,
And the where we're getting lost in the, everybody's getting lost in the weeds is they're trying to make the difficult work not difficult.
yeah, right, yep,
And if like it just doesn't happen that way. Like you're gonna have to strain, you're gonna have to like, you know, do shit what your body's like, oh fuck, what do we need to get bigger? No one's body ever, there's not a single soul out there who went out there and lifted to moderate intensity and got bigger.
right,
There are some people's bodies who are better at getting bigger.
right,
They
yes,
still have to work.
right,
You know, Phil Heath, go watch his training videos. Tell me that's not fucking hard.
agreed, yes, agreed,
Like, yeah, it may not be like he made Groove better, like, fuck, he had the best genetics on the planet. He still trained his face off.
right,
Go take a gander at Jay Cutler's training videos.
yeah, yeah,
Try to match that.
yeah,
Realize that was a lot of fucking hard work,
yes,
and there's, if he trained like in the science based thing, there is zero chance in my mind he would look as good as he did.
1,000%, agreed,
He broke every single fucking rule.
yep,
Like, go take a gander. He did 45 sets for back.
yeah,
You guys are telling me you only need 10 to 12.
right, yeah,
So what did those other 30 sets do?
yeah, yeah,
I'll just overtrain the shit out of him. He never recovered.
right,
Oh, obviously, I guess. Like,
yep.
weird. I'm
Think
not saying
about,
you need to do 40 sets of anything,
right,
but you need to find what works and you need to run with it.
think about how many freaks came out of Metroflex where Ronnie and Branch and Johnny Jackson all trained. And listen, I'm sure there's countless dudes in there who just banged away and were monsters and nobody knew of. I've yet to see a science-based lifter even sniff the texture of Branch Warren's skin or the way his muscle looks pressed against the skin. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Because he's a psychopath, right? And ask anyone who trained with him for any once or a substantial amount of time, and they'll say he is an animal that cannot be replicated. I wonder why. Because the one person who did, meaning Johnny, who trained with him for years, arguably has one of the best backs ever.
Yeah.
Like, the thickness through his chest, back, arms, delts, dear God, like hamstrings, glutes, all thick. I mean, his quads, I think the shape of them were a little skewed, but it, it's really hard for me to take all this stuff seriously because, and again, I'm going to say this like we said it last week. Our generation of lifter was taught we need to do more, we need to be better, we need to eat more, we need to rest more, and we have to figure out ways to take our body and brain to the next limit. Like, in this group, it's like, oh no, like this little mountain is cool. Ignore all that shit up here. You don't need to tap into that. Just do this moderate level. if you want to talk about science, and again, maybe I'll show my brain here. If you think about the premises of evolution, what happens to that science-based community when that reps in reserve stop yielding results? Because honestly, a lot of those reps in reserve are what I would call like newbie gains, like the first 2 years of training when you're learning how to train, unless you have someone who guides you and like, hey, bro, this is how you train. You learn really quick. We all were probably leaving a lot of reps on the table. So that's the
Yeah.
first 2 years. Awesome. Okay. Then naturally, you and I progressed and said, okay, cool. Like, what if we backed off a little bit of volume and we really started putting more effort and energy into the sets that actually count? Okay. That's the intermediate phase. And then as we get to advanced, like, okay, cool. Like now let's get really hyper specific with the exercise selection we choose that is custom tailored to the physique gaps we have. But we're also going to still keep all of our sets to failure, and our exercise execution is now fucking 20 times better. That's how we continue to ram that gas pedal. Where this group is like, oh, they just take more drugs. Fuck off. I took more drugs when I was in my 20s than I do in my 40s. Fact. Weird. I'm the biggest I've ever been. How does that
Yeah.
how does that science for them? Right? It doesn't. That's the question. Um, so God, we every week we go here, right?
Every single week.
To answer this guy's question, form is important. Don't injure yourself. But this right here, your attitude, your mind, your ego, whatever you want to call that, has to drive that ship. You-
Yeah.
Trust me, if you go into the gym enough, you'll perfect your form, as Dave
Yeah.
said. Just it's a
I mean,
byproduct.
and some things like please, like, there's very few things you can do wrong if you sit down in a hammer incline press.
Right. Yes, agreed. Right.
Like, you're gonna figure it out really fucking fast. Oh, the seat's all the way down here, and I'm pressing like this. All right, cool. That's gonna be fucking wrong, obviously. But like, there's some minute details in for sure. But like,
Yeah.
like sometimes like a deadlift, you just need to go fucking pick it up. Keep your back as straight as you can, and then what? You refine on that. And then with squats, like, you need to realize what we're bodybuilding, we're not powerlifters. So the goal isn't just weight,
Right.
right? It's trying to make your knee as bent as possible, not
Right.
trying to sit back as far as possible.
Yeah.
So that means, starting lighter and working your way back up. Like, I've had to do that,
Oh, hell yeah. Same.
and then you're like, oh wow, every time I squat now, my hamstring touched my calf, and I can do it proficiently. Weird, you know,
Yeah.
versus you know, versus the other person who just like, oh, I box squat every time, and I wonder why my 600-pound squat doesn't match my legs. Well, your hips and ass are really strong, right?
Right. Yeah.
You
Low
just
back.
That's what you trained. That's what you trained. It's
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The amount of people at Elite that have been like, man, like Chris, like you don't really squat that much weight. And I'm like, no, my quads lift a lot of weight. Your hips, back, and ass do. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Like, to end this point, I want to bang on this. And it's one of the ways I knew you and I like would be friends after the first time we trained together is I'm pretty sure it was that Cybex row machine. You just got fucking furious at your last rest pulse and just start ripping that motherfucker.
Hmm.
I can't teach that.
No.
That switch that flipped, and you're like, fuck everything. I'm doing more reps. That is a desire to get better that I will never dim, no matter what fucking study comes out that says that that's stupid, because I know it.
Mhm.
And Chris, what daddy do you have? I have 2 decades of watching people grow or not grow. Anytime I've seen someone do that, they got better. Anytime I see someone get really hyper cute with their training, I watch their gym do this.
Yep.
Because go back to that fucking, if you want to do science, think about evolution. How does the body change? It takes stress, energy, and time. If you don't do those three, it's not happening. So, more food, more weight, better form, make it awful, good shit happens. Simple as that. So, all right. So, the topic you had, which was really good, was you said let's do some stuff on food and how we can make our food taste better. And I know with people, a lot of my clients are in prep. You and I both are. And I think a lot of times the misconception is diet food has to be bland and boring. or you aren't dieting, and that could not be further from the truth. Um,
Yeah.
so let's to me, let's start with some like really low-hanging fruit of if you aren't using flavor gang sauces or hot
Or the
sauce.
cream of rice. If you're not using that cream of rice, you're like, cream of rice is gross. It's like,
Yes, yes,
fuck yeah. Like, the Uncle Ben shit, if you don't throw anything in that, like, yeah, like, it's just fucking baby food.
yes.
And there's no fucking flavor to it. It's just like weird fucking soup.
Yeah. I never understood that. I'm just gonna eat rice, not the orange box. Like,
Yeah.
why?
I'll have to throw that up on there, but like I legitimately have an Instagram post from like way back when I started, before I even started with you.
Uh-huh.
And it was Uncle Ben's cream of rice mixed with cocoa powder and Splenda.
Oh yeah.
Like that happened. That's legitimately like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like it's pretty fucking common sense. Like you don't have to eat just plain fucking cream of rice.
No. 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 I can tell you this, even before I was with John, my cream of rice or oatmeal, it didn't matter which one, was always one or two packets of Splenda, cinnamon, and however allotment of fat I had, I put peanut butter or almond butter in it.
Mhm.
Delicious.
Yeah,
Instantly makes that shit taste better. Because, listen, I don't know how you are. The idea of bland oatmeal and cream of rice or cream of wheat, like, all of that stuff is just straight garbage to me. I'd rather eat rice or potatoes all day long. Um,
yeah,
so it's a choice, but yeah, again, if you haven't tried Flavor Gang's brownie batter cream of rice, like you literally are.
yeah. It turns into a fucking brownie. It's like,
Yes. Yes. And I know like, oh, Chris, you're sponsored by Flavor Gang. Yes, I am, because I'm not a fucking moron. Like, it's delicious. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna tell my clients to use it. I'm gonna make some money off of it. Like, let's be real. Like that's the
yeah,
truth. Ross wasn't banging down my door because and said, hey, like I need you to be sponsored by me. I'm like, no, hey, Ross, like, how can we work together here?
hmm,
I'm gonna use this. My clients, I'm gonna write them in every damn plan that I write, unless you're allergic to cream of rice, which I or don't like it. Like, how can we work together? How can we figure this
yeah.
out?
I'm always lost to people. Like, I don't like cream of rice. It's like, yeah, I don't know if you're making it right.
Yeah,
You
yes,
know?
that's the answer. That's the answer. You aren't making it right. Yes.
Yeah,
Because there is, if you don't show it some love, and that's probably the premise of our whole episode here. If you don't take your time with cream of rice, even the flavor gang, it's not going to come out what I would consider great. You know,
yeah,
it's you put it in, you whisk it 2 minutes, whisk, 1 minute, whisk, 30 seconds, let it sit. And I know for some people you don't maybe not you don't have that patience. It's worth it.
yeah. Or I mean, if you don't have the patience like me, like I legitimately just measure out my cream of rice and then go to the hot water spigot,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
spray it on there, and then stir it until it starts thickening up. Then I nuke it for a minute and a half, and then I pull it out and stir it again, and I'm done.
Yes. Yep.
And yeah, it's peachy,
Yes.
you know.
Another great option there. So yes, I think that to me, like salting, pepper, any type of no calorie seasoning, all of that is low hanging fruit to me.
Yeah,
Like, you have to find your flavor profiles and the things that taste good to you and that also don't cause like any digestive issues. Like, I know if I start using a lot of garlic or onion powder, it'll start coming out of my skin. I'll start burping more. I just know that
yep,
I'm just reached my limit on that. It's time to pull back on it.
yep,
Frank's Red Hot, Tabasco, sugar-free ketchup, mustard, all that kind of stuff to me. The G Hughes barbecue sauce, like that's all what I would consider very base tier, making your
yeah,
food better.
yeah. And like you said, just paying attention to your meal, like making sure like you take your time,
Mhm.
because there's a really big difference between boiled chicken and plain white rice,
Yeah.
and like let's say grilled chicken and you know white rice, what you saute together in a pan with some soy sauce.
Correct.
That
Yes.
took an extra 10 seconds.
Yes. Great.
That, like people go buy that at a restaurant all the fucking time. Like
Yeah.
go to PF Chang's, like go look at it,
Well,
you
okay.
know.
Yep. You know,
And
go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, you're good. And it's just like it's a matter of fact of just paying attention to what you have. I can't tell you how many. Like, I mean, you've written in my plan a solid amount of time where my meal one is a cup and a half of egg whites, 80 grams of oats, and 16 grams of almond butter. It's like that does not mean your meal has to be a plate of egg whites, a bowl of oats, and a tablespoon of almond butter separate.
That's correct.
You know, like I can't tell you how many times I put the egg whites and the oatmeal in a blender,
Yep,
blended it, threw in some, Splenda,
yep, yep,
and pour that whole thing into a pan and make a big ass pancake with it, and
yep.
then top it with my fucking almond butter and throw some, sugar free syrup on it.
Done.
And it's like, oh, cool. That's difficult to eat as a fucking pancake.
Yes.
I could get even fancy with this. I've legitimately poured it in a waffle iron before.
Right. Yeah.
Like yes, like obviously I don't have a bowl of oats and a plate of egg whites separate.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, it's the same fucking foods.
Right. And I mean, you could even get really fancy and maybe take the oats to 80 and put fruit in there. And next thing you know, you're having a banana in there, you're doing mixed berries, and that pancake just got way elevated.
Oh yeah. Or you take that fruit like I like when there's fruit there in that plan for me, like 100 200 grams of raspberries.
Right. Yeah.
You pull them out of the freezer, or if you have fresh, right? Pull them out of the freezer, throw them in a coffee cup, throw a packet of Splenda in there, nuke it for 30 seconds. It turns into fucking syrup.
Yes. Yep. Fresh jam. Yep. 100%.
And it's the same food you'd already eat, but
Yes.
you just chose to eat it in a way you like.
Yeah.
The times when pre-contest when my meal is 8 ounces of chicken and that
Mm.
you know like, oh cool, I'm gonna throw that 8 ounces of chicken in a skillet,
Mhm.
throw some mustard on it, and burn that onto the chicken. And if I have a half a cup of green beans, like if I want it personally, like sometimes it's just that chicken. That's because I'm a fucking weirdo. But that cooked in a skillet versus just straight out of the fridge into the microwave,
Yeah.
if possible. And I'm not saying you're like, oh, but like I have to meal prep it. I can't tell you how many times I've cooked that fucking thing and put it in a Tupperware and then nuked it later when, because I meal prepped that meal.
Right. Yes. Agreed.
And, cooking your food or reheating it on a skillet
Yeah.
and adding that, like, whatever char.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call that. Like, it's kind of like, because I kid you not, like, I just throw some mustard on it and, like, basically brown the mustard onto my chicken.
Yes. Right.
And
Yep.
it adds absolutely no calories. Oh, wait, maybe trace calories from mustard. That 1 gram I'm getting from mustard seed.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
The makes it taste good. I look forward to that. Yes, it may not be like, yeah, so that meal was honestly just chicken.
Right.
Still, it's fucking good.
Right. I'm trying to think about all the other what I would consider low-hanging fruit is like if you have the ability to prepare, like freshly prepare red meat or salmon, it goes in so much better. Like,
Yeah,
so that's why a lot of times, like for my guys and girls, if I have salmon or red meat on there, I try to make it their last meal if possible or their first. So that way, like you aren't eating reheated steak middle of the day. Like reheated steak is good, but it's nothing like fresh off the grill. Or if I have some ground beef, you freshly mince that or make a burger patty on the stovetop. It takes you 8 minutes max. And then the next thing you know, you're like, man, that beef meal just went from like a 6 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
yeah.
Like,
Hell, that's probably one of my favorite things too. Is like just like a chicken sandwich with Ezekiel bread.
yes. Oh, hell yeah. Yep.
Like, okay, cool. Here's 30 grams of carbs and my chicken.
Yep.
Throw a tomato in there
Yep.
and some mustard.
Right.
Hell, here's a real fun one for a lot of people. Go to the grocery store. Walk down into a health food store at least. They make mayonnaise out of avocado oil and eggs.
Right. Yeah.
That is a fantastic fat source for bodybuilders.
Yes. Yep.
That don't go buy the fucking mayonnaise from big mayo companies because it's all shit. It's all canola oil and eggs.
Yeah.
But like they do make actual, mayo from good fat sources and whole eggs.
Yeah.
And those are two things that should always be a fat source in my opinion.
Agree.
Is like they have olive oil ones, they have avocado oil ones.
Right. Yeah.
And if you look at the ingredients, there's like four fucking things. It's avocado oil, egg yolks, and flavor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, oh, cool. This is and measured as a fat source.
Right. Yes. Yep.
That is not gonna make or break your diet. That's just gonna make it better.
The amount of times I've made me a burger on the stovetop that have been marinating in Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce all day long, put that on my last meal, Like you said, I toast two slices of Ezekiel bread, sugar-free ketchup, mustard. I slice a little bit of onion and put pickles on it. Jesus fucking Christ. Then if I have more carbs, I just slice a potato and put them in the air fryer and I have burger and fries.
Yeah. It's like, wow, dude, do you even need a cheat meal at that point? It's probably
Correct.
better than, I can tell you for a fact that's better than going to McDonald's and getting a, double cheeseburger.
Hell yes. Yeah.
Someone made out with like, they just hammered that thing in there,
Yep.
just pure rage of working minimum wage job.
Right. Yes. Yep. And I mean, you think about the start time of meal prep to make that beginning to end, no more than 15 minutes. And that little bit of time and energy will go such a long way in order to be like, man, now I really look forward to meal six as opposed to, oh man, I got meal six. Fuck. Shitty fucking dry ground beef. It's been sitting in the Tupperware since last Thursday. And you're like, oh, gotta eat it. It kind of tastes weird. Put some bland ass rice that's been sitting in the fridge as opposed to a fresh out of a rice cooker. And you just put some salt on it and eat it. That is horrible. That's why people cheat on their meal plan. That's why they're like, diet food sucks. No, you suck at preparing it.
Yeah.
Like
I,
it's really interesting.
I think this whole, what we're talking about is, whenever it comes down to it, being prepared is the foundation of bodybuilding.
Yes, agreed.
Like you, if you're not prepared, you're gonna have to do shit what sucks.
Yes,
I've done it plenty of times. I've cooked fucking egg whites in the fucking microwave and eaten them out of a Tupperware what I cooked in the microwave. Anybody go do that? That's fucking terrible. Sometimes you got to do that kind of thing. But that was because I wasn't prepared.
correct. Yes,
And I'm also not about to go cheat on my diet because I wasn't prepared.
correct. Agreed.
But if I am prepared, it's a whole different story. And if you take that and you're like, oh, this doesn't just apply to my food, I can apply this to my training, I can apply this to my job, I can apply this to my relationships.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, your life just got better. Right? And it's such a simple concept. It's like, okay, cool. I have to do these things today in bodybuilding. I have cardio, I have a training session, I have 6 meals. Like, am I gonna make those all in the seam of my fucking pants? Or am I gonna, like, okay, cool. I know these things are gonna happen. I have my food ready. I have things weighed out. I have a fucking pan. I can cook it in that. I'm gonna go ahead and take some extra time.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
It's the difference between, you know, mediocrity and excellence is legitimately just being prepared.
You know, I talked about my Saturday and how I decided to be an off day. And I think sometimes when people may hear you and I talk about this, they're like, oh, Chris and Dave don't get it. Like they have a lot more flexibility with their life. I just want to walk you through Saturday. So I woke up at 5 a.m. to do client updates from 5 to 6. Then I was on the treadmill, did my 30 minutes of cardio, stretched, did abs. Then I come upstairs, ate meal one, which for me is 2 cups of egg whites, 60 grams of oats, 16 grams of almond butter, and 100 grams of banana. Okay, that's meal one. Then I knew my next meal I was going to have to eat in the dugout at baseball. Okay. Because Daxon had a soccer game. So as soon as I ate meal one, we were headed to soccer for an hour. Then I was going to get to baseball 90 minutes early, do my lineup card, get everything loaded in the dugout, have the whole day prepared, and sit there and eat my cold chicken and rice out of a cooler. Because I didn't want to go home and rush being late to the game, right? So I got a Tupperware container. I made fresh rice, so it's not like all cold and shitty. Like, put the rice in there. I took my meat scissors and chopped up really fine the chicken. I drizzled my olive oil on it. I put Flavor Gang takeout sauce and the Jihu's barbecue sauce on it. And I stirred that up and put my lid on my Tupperware, put it into my igloo cooler. The amount of parents were like, what are you eating? I think that smells delicious. And I'm like, chicken and rice, man.
Yep.
Guess what? It did not matter. Then we play the game. I come home, I eat my chicken and rice meal again. It's as simple as fucking that. Like, that did definitely take some forethought, but that meal could have tasted horrible, been dry and bland, or I could have made it taste delicious. And I
Yeah.
chose, like, hey, I'm going to sit in a dugout in scalding hot sun and eat a meal. I want it to taste good.
Yeah.
And I sure as hell wasn't going to eat hot dogs from the concession stand. So it's one of those things like then I was ready to start our warm up. We played well, we won, life is good. And you come home and I finished my last 4 meals for the day. And I had my cardio was done. I had no training that day. All I had to do was come home and tidy up any client emails that I hadn't hammered out that morning, and then I was good to go. Like I think a lot of times we don't, as a whole, as a society, consider things like that. It's like, oh, it's the weekend. My kids have games. I'm just gonna do whatever. There is never a scenario where do whatever helped you achieve something that you desire.
Exactly.
Plan, persistence, and dedication. It's as simple as that, right? Like I'm trying to think of some other things. Like I'm a big fan of like crock pot steak if you're going to cook it in advance. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Chris, like I can't cook my steak fresh every night. I don't have a grill in my apartment or whatever. I would do a crock pot meat. I've posted multiple videos on how to do that. It's on my YouTube. You take a big ass London broil if you don't have a lot of money. It's $14 for 3 pounds typically.
Hmm.
Guess what? You sear it on the stove top that morning before work. You put shallots, you put fresh garlic in there with avocado oil to sear it. Then you immediately put it in the crock pot. You cook it for 8 to 10 hours. You put more garlic, pepper, and salt in there, fill it with beef stock, shut the lid, hit start, and you walk away. It is fucking delicious and tender the entire week.
Yep.
Simple. And if you can't cook, I just gave you the steps, man. It's simple.
Yep.
You and I weren't able to cook at one point of our bodybuilding. You know how we figured it out? Going back to the conversation we just had, repetition. Hey, this tastes shitty. I'm still going to eat it because I'm a meathead and I don't have a lot of extra bodybuilding money. So I'm still going to eat that shitty meal that I made, but I learned something that day. Hey, don't overcook your rice. Hey, you put too much water in that rice. Hey, your sweet potatoes, you wasted half of them. They're in the bottom of the oven.
Yep.
You learn real quick that if you overcook chicken, it tastes like sawdust if you have to reheat it. So, you know, any advice for guys out there who can't cook, Dave, of like maybe where to start?
Legitly, what like you just said, you know, like I remember when I first started bodybuilding stuff, I had a George fucking Foreman grill.
Yes, yes,
You
same.
know, you just fucking, all right, cool, sweet. I can cook chicken on this,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And then I was boiling rice in a fucking pot on the stove.
right, same.
Figured I sucked at that. I made rice good and then I'd make rice shitty. And then nothing fucking changed. It was the same amount of water. I was like, what the fuck's happening here?
Right,
Okay, cool. I'm gonna save up, I'm gonna buy a rice cooker.
right.
If I save up and buy a rice cooker, those things are $17 at Costco or at Walmart. It
Right.
doesn't have to be a fucking nice one, you
Yep.
know. They're cheap as fuck. Throw rice in that, have it ready. All right, cool. Rice just got a lot better for me.
Yes.
You
Yep.
okay? And then you pay attention to like how you're cooking your chicken. You're like, man, I could probably, there's a ton of seasoning options out there. Like I can throw these, in like in a brine of sorts.
Mhm.
I could season them with lemon pepper, all these fucking things. Wow, these things taste better.
Right.
They're not as dry.
Yes. Yep.
I don't need to burn the shit out of them. Like my chicken, like 165 is the minimum temperature for chicken.
Right. Yes.
Get a thermometer. You don't need to cook it to 240.
No. No.
You know, if you do, you're gonna have some actual leather.
Yeah. And
But
like fun things you learn, right? If the top half of the chicken is this thick and the bottom is this thin, what do you think is going to need to happen? You either need to flatten this or cut this shit off and cook them separate times.
yeah,
You don't know how you and I learned that? Because we ate dried fucking chicken.
yeah, yeah. I never started having fantastic meals.
Right.
It's just something you're gonna have to work on. Just like training.
Yeah, correct. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You see someone squatting four plates for reps. You're like, wow, that's not that. That looks really really difficult. That guy started with the bar.
Yes. Yep.
It's the same concept with this.
Yeah.
You see the shit we're doing, it's like, all right, cool, that looks really good, but I'm not sure if I can do that.
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
you start with fucking making chicken in a George fucking Foreman grill. Like,
Yes. Yep. I think other things that are nice for a meal is like a diet soda sometimes, an electrolyte drink, a coffee with breakfast, like a tea, uh, something like that can really elevate a meal, right? Like let's say you just had that chicken breast. If you have that with a Diet Dr. Pepper or Diet Mountain Dew, it just got better.
oh, yeah, so much better.
And I don't know how much that's placebo, but it's like, man, like, okay, it's just chicken, but every other bite, I'm taking a drink of this drink that tastes delicious. And it's like, now you suddenly don't feel so trapped anymore. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this bodybuilding sucks. I can't believe Chris pulled it or Dave pulled all my carbs. I don't get any avocado with this meal anymore. Like, it sucks. Like, that's way different. Like, it's chicken. It's for a reason. I got leaner off of that meal. I fucking know it. Like,
Yeah.
it goes back to that initial thing of mindset of like, how bad do you want this, man? Like, I know you are willing to do whatever it fucking takes to win. And win for you doesn't mean walk away with the trophy that says winner. It means be better than last time. And I wish more people would take that mindset into the kitchen, into the gym, into the cardio. And I really bet your life starts to get a lot better. And the people around you are like, man, you aren't as miserable anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Correct. Yeah.
That's one of those things. It's just, it may be difficult, but it's not impossible. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I just told one of my girls yesterday this. I said, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. I promise.
mhm.
And I really needed to hear that. And it's like, I know I've said this to you. I've never once had someone in shape and them tell me they regretted it. They've always been like, Chris, thank you so much for showing me what I was capable of. Or, that really hurt to get here, but I am so glad we did it. Like, I've never once, in person or on the internet, had someone look at me like, man, I should have never went that hard.
Yeah.
Never. And God, I don't even know how many people I've prepped at this point, but I need you to really consider that. I tell you what, I have had. I've had guys say, man, I should have measured that peanut butter. I shouldn't have had that free meal every day behind your back. I should have took my cardio serious. I should have trained legs like you showed me videos. I've had that a lot. And a lot of time it's because they're third, fourth, fifth, sixth call out, and they're watching other dudes who did all the shit they were supposed to. And in the back of their mind, they're playing that fucking reel in their brain of, man, donuts post lift wasn't smart. And that sucks.
Yeah.
But as we've always said, you're going to have to pay that piper on the front end or the back end. You choose. And I've always felt like, well, just do the work, man. And if not, if you don't love this, please God, find what you do. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Super true.
and if you work with Dave and I, let's say you've already paid for the year and there's 6 months left, you're like, man, this bodybuilding shit don't work for me. All right, cool. What can we do nutritionally to make you have fun again? You want to power lift? You want to do strongman? You want to do competitive softball? You want to do dodgeball? Man, we can make you better at fucking anything. You want to start running? Awesome. Don't be scared. Like, if I woke up one morning and didn't think, I cannot wait to go row until I can't see straight, then I'm gonna stop bodybuilding.
Yeah. Super true.
Or can you imagine waking up and be like, ugh, man, I'd really just like to go smash a couple egg McMuffins today. That's it. I don't want not eat anything. Or I don't want to eat until noon. The moment I'm thinking that, bro, I'm retiring. I'm putting all my effort, energy I put into bodybuilding into business and making even more money. Like or investing it into my family or my son, fill in the blank. Like
Hmm.
simple as that.
Super true.
And as you and I will always say, like the what we learn in bodybuilding is transferable. It's why you take a look at someone like Jay Cutler, and he's been so successful in business because he applies those same principles of wake up and be brutally consistent to business. And guess what? He gets super wealthy. Build, learn, recover. That's all he ever does.
Yep.
Simple as that. So, bodybuilding, it teaches you great life lessons. If your food tastes like shit, go to my YouTube channel for fuck's sake. Go to Dave's Instagram. We show you how to make your food taste good. Like, and it just again takes time, effort, energy. You do that stuff. Next thing you know, in a year, you're like, I'm making gourmet meals every few hours. And guess what? Now you can invite a girl over and show her how much of a cool. So you look good and you can make food. Ha, good luck. Those panties are gonna fall right off. I mean,
It's
secret
true.
to life. Secret to life. That's how I got my wife. I'm gonna leave it at that. Until next time, Chris, Dave, we're done.